Hey guys, this is Alana, your host for Fostering the People podcast. I am so excited to be kicking off episode 1 with you guys today. So thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, I just wanted to reiterate to listeners that this podcast is for any and everyone who has goals that they want to accomplish and really just need motivation to get there, regardless of the foundation that you started from. I myself have my own story, and my hope is to have other people on the podcast that will share their stories, and hopefully listeners can see themselves and get encouragement from there. So before we get started, let's talk about what fostering yourself actually means. Fostering yourself does not mean forcing yourself into the version you want to be in. It does not mean that you are just grinding hard at all costs or even that you have everything figured out. Fostering yourself means encouraging and cultivating a space for growth within your life. So let's take a step back and think about it from a different perspective. Take a gardener, for example. Each plant they have to learn its quirks, what it likes and what it doesn't like, in order to ensure that the plant is thriving in the best conditions. In order to do that, they have to first be patient. Then they have to be intentional. And then they have to be honest about what is working and what doesn't work. Take these two plants behind me, for example. I have a money tree and a bamboo plant. The money tree is potted in soil and the bamboo plant is in water. And both plants are thriving, but they're not thriving in the same conditions. Why? Because they both need two different things in order for them to thrive. In addition to that, in different seasons, what I do to one plant for one season, I may have to do something different to that same plant if I want to see it survive in different conditions. So that is the same mindset that we should be having when we are working towards our goals. What works for one person may not work for another. And what worked for me yesterday may not be the path that I need to take in order to continue to accomplish the goals that I have for myself. So, story time. I knew after getting my undergraduate degree that I always wanted to go back and get my master's degree, but it was unclear to me which program was best for my career goals. I've always had a passion for continuing working with foster youth, aging out of care, to really encourage and mentor them to continue their education and aspire to whatever career goals that they had. And I thought the best way to do that was getting my master's in social work, which I will refer to as an MSW. My sister was one of the first people who really encouraged me to broaden my perspective, not change my goals, but broaden my perspective on the way to get to my end goal. And she encouraged me to think about getting the master's in business administration, which is an MBA. And for the longest time, I was just like, nope, for multiple reasons. I was like, I cannot get my MBA. That's not who I am. That's not what I want to do. And there's no way around it. I need to get my MSW because I want to work in social services. So that's the only way to go. And luckily, through her connecting me with other people, I was able to see myself and see the goals that I had as something that I could accomplish through getting my MBA. And I am so happy that I did, because honestly, my life would be completely different had I not gotten my MBA instead of my MSW. Now, that's not to say that I couldn't have gotten to where I wanted to go with my MSW, because I definitely know that I could have. All I'm saying is the way that I plan to get to the end goal was not the only route to take. And I often think that people do themselves that same disservice. So it wasn't that my sister didn't believe in my dream. She just had a broader understanding, given her career experience, on a path for me to get there that wasn't what I had initially assumed was the only way. And that right there is what fostering looks like from the outside. Someone creating conditions for your growth, even when you can't see them because you are too deep in the tunnel. But guess what? Tunnels have exits, and you can get out of them. You just have to be willing to surround yourself with people, whether or not it's a loved one, a friend, a mentor, a coworker, or someone you met at a park one day, to encourage you to dig you out of that tunnel. Because you may not always be able to see it for yourself, but that is the beauty of a community. And that is what fostering the people is about. Your route to where you want to go may be different from the route that I took to get to where I want to go. But that doesn't mean community isn't the way to get there. And the best way to learn from people is by finding people who either have a broader experience to where you want to be at, or have a better understanding to know, hey, even if I personally don't have a good understanding in this realm, I can connect them to X, Y, and Z person who can offer them better insight. And so what do you do with this? I'm going to give you a few things to sit with for this week. It's not a homework assignment, but I just want to really give you a moment to just think about this as it relates to the goals that you have for yourself. First, are you more attached to the goal or the steps that it takes to get there? Because if the road changed tomorrow, would you still be motivated to go after that goal? You should. The second question is, do you have anyone in your life that is motivating you to go after your goals and is encouraging you to see things from a different perspective? In addition to that, are you listening to them? Are you taking their advice and actually changing your mindset, or at least weighing it against what you know to be true and what their specialty is? Or is it going in one ear and out the other? And lastly, how would you get to your end goal if the current path you're on closed tomorrow? Having an answer to that lets you know that other options exist. And even if it doesn't work out the way that you expected, there is still a route to get to your end goal. You just have to be willing to take it and not give up. And so I just want to encourage everyone to really just know that your voice is valuable, your insight is valuable, and regardless of where you're starting from, you can be an inspiration to someone who may be where you were a year ago or even yesterday. And so never discount where you came from, never discount the skills and knowledge that you've developed to get to where you are today, and always be willing to share your story in the route that you took, because you never know how it could inspire someone. So let me close with this. Your passion is not the problem. Your dream and motivation is not the problem. But the way you look at how to get to your goals may be the problem. And you have to see clearly and be willing to see clearly in order to adjust your mindset for the best possible way to cultivate growth within your life. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week to episode 1 of Fostering the People podcast. If you found this topic interesting, definitely stay tuned to next week, because we will be talking about something that's equally as important, which is choosing yourself. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, as this podcast is available on all podcasting platforms and on Facebook. Again, my name is Alana, and I'll see you next Monday.